So he posted a link to, it says 50 Cent reportedly developing a Surviving T.I. and Tiny documentary.
50 Cent just released a sneak peek of a documentary centered around T.I. and Tiny, and it's packed with serious allegations. Even after pulling down his Instagram post about the project, many assumed 50 was simply stirring up drama. But he followed through and released what many are calling the most explosive portion. Now, reports suggest that T.I. is in a difficult headspace. Here's everything we know. The documentary dropped and T's reaction. On March 5th, 2026, 50 Cent took to Instagram with a cryptic post, only to remove it before the day wrapped up. The post referenced a headline about 50 Cent allegedly working on a documentary titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. In the caption, Fifth reflected on how low-key he went before his previous documentary project came out, then addressed T.I. directly, stating that they planned to question him about 20 sexual assault cases and suggesting he might want to get a crisis PR team involved. He deleted the post shortly after, but by then, the internet had already captured everything.
He posted it on his page.
Well, it ain't on there now. Did he take it off?
Yeah, he deleted it.
He put it up and then took it down, and everybody grabbed it.
The post was gone, but the buzz was already spreading fast. Every hip-hop blog, every gossip page, every YouTube channel had picked it up and run with it within hours.
Everybody grabbed it.
So he basically, he shut the internet down today just showing I ain't done with this yet.
The Jasmine brand, Ice Cream Convos, the hip-hop Democrat, everybody jumped on it. Gossip commentator Tasha K had already been out here alleging as early as March 1st, 2026, that 50 was quietly working on something while the beef was heating up. Now, the deleted post gave every outlet in the game a reason to run the story. 50's caption was drawing a straight line to his previous documentary work, positioning Surviving T.I. and Tiny as the next chapter in that same playbook. The title itself was a direct call-out to Lifetime Surviving R. Kelly, the 2019 docuseries that dragged R. Kelly's decades of alleged sexual abuse into the spotlight, stacked it with survivor testimonies, and ultimately helped put him behind bars. That title choice was calculated, not coincidental.
50 Cent hints at Surviving T.I. and Tiny, listen at this, documentary, and calls out the rapper over 20 sexual assault cases.
T.I. did not sit on his hands. He went straight to Instagram and posted a family photo. This is what the caption said.
50, drop whatever you choose. Just please keep showing the world you're a whore. On Clay. Who's Clay? And you still ain't tell us why you in 4K dick pulling with the smile of a sissy. Pandora's box is ajar, which means open in Spanish. Good luck. You suck. P.S. Me and mine till the end of time. It's a trauma.
Same day, Tip also dropped a video of himself and his son, King Harris, sitting in the cut, locked in on a new track called Let Him Know, produced by Pharrell, off his upcoming album, Kill the King. This is what that caption said.
Dropped this video and he says, we can go bar for bar, hit for hit, or doc for doc. Either way, all you're gonna do is show how much of a you is. Let's play. Nobody fears you over here, boo-boo. And he dropped another freestyle, or some song.
Around March 7th, 2026, T.I. dropped a track called Trauma Bond, going straight at the beef. The lyrics were centered on family loyalty and treated 50's entire documentary move like it was never even a real threat. The title alone told the world exactly how T.I. was framing his squad position in all of this.
Yes, me and mine, till the end of time, it's a trauma bond.
Tip's whole vibe through all of this was straight up no fear, bars, captions, challenges, and drop after drop after drop. What 50 actually did was hand T.I. a promo moment right in the middle of his album rollout, and Tip cashed that check immediately. But to really understand why 50 even reached for a documentary in the first place, you have to go back to where the Real smoke started, how this beat began, and why it exploded in 2026. This is not a 2026 situation. The bad blood between these two goes back nearly 20 years. And what lit the fuse in early 2026 was a versus battle that 50 Cent never showed up for. The earliest friction between T.I. and 50 traces all the way back to 2007 and 2008, when T.I. caught a federal gun charge for trying to purchase machine guns and silencers. He worked out a plea deal and ended up doing about a year, even though he was looking at up to a decade. 50 Cent looked at those numbers and said what a lot of people in the streets were thinking, that the math only worked if T.I. had given something to somebody. On the 2008 G-Unit track You So Tough, 50 put it in bars directly, shading T's light sentence and framing it as evidence that Tip had cooperated with the feds. That snitch narrative, T.I. as a cooperator, never fully left the building. Through the 2010s, the two stayed at arm's length with occasional jabs. In 2011, when T.I. and Tiny got locked up on drug possession charges after his release, 50 hopped on social media to clown the situation, but neither man went all the way in. They both had too much money moving. T.I. with his acting bag, the Trap Music Museum, and reality TV. 50 with the Power franchise, his business portfolio, and G-Unit Film and Television, to get fully caught up in the streets over a rap beef. Then the pandemic hit, Versus dropped, and everything shifted. When Timbaland and Swizz Beatz launched Versus in 2020, T.I. saw his opening. On July 6, 2020, 50 Cent's 45th birthday, Tip posted a formal call-out on Instagram, demanding a 20-song catalog battle. 50 laughed it off like it was the funniest thing he had heard all year. T.I. kept pushing in interviews. 50 kept ducking. The Versus never materialized. Then in early 2026, T.I. was out here on his promo run for Let Them Know, hitting Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Okocinco. He brought up the Versus again, but this time he dropped a detail that changed the whole conversation. He said 50 had agreed to do it in private. T.I. said the two of them were out in L.A. together pitching TV shows when the topic came up. He said 50 was with it. The plan was T.I. jumps out first publicly, 50 follows, and they build a hype from there.
It just come out of nowhere. Nigga, we were moving around in L.A., man, selling some TV shows while we were around each other, man, you know what I mean? I said, what you think about this? Like, you want to do that shit? I said, yeah. He was like, all right, cool. So I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna jump out there first, and then you just gonna jump out there and we'll line it up.
But the moment T.I. went public, 50 went ghost. And according to Tip, that move cost 50 every drop of respect he had left with him.
And he said, all right. And when I jump out there, he act like he ain't know what was going on. Then that's what it was about. You know what I'm saying? Now, it about, oh, you playing.
That detail, 50 shaking hand behind closed doors and going silent in public, is what gave T's whole position its legs. This was no longer just a rapper getting curved on a Versus request. This was a man who said yes, then acted like the conversation never happened. 50's response to all of this was not a statement, not a press run. He pulled up to Instagram and posted an unflattering photo of Tiny Harris. A bad angle, clearly handpicked to embarrass, with a caption telling T.I. to keep his name out of his mouth. Most people who saw it read it as a direct shot at the whole Harris household. Marketing professional Karen Civil, who ran in circles with Lil Wayne and serious industry players, offered a different read on Threads. She said 50 never actually said anything foul about Tiny, that he simply dropped a photo and told T.I. to leave him alone.
50 posted a picture of Tiny and said, "Leave me out of it." Social media T.I. and his whole family took that post as a negative connotation, even though he never specifically said anything bad about Tiny. He just posted her photo and said, "Stop discussing."
But the Harris family was not reading it Civil's way. King Harris pulled out old NSFW images of 50 that had been floating around the internet for years and blasted them. Domani Harris dropped diss tracks going straight at 50's alleged history. T.I. started dropping records back-to-back. Police reportedly received calls about online threats during this stretch. The internet beef had leaked into real life. T.I. pulled up to TMZ and put his position on record.
Man, the only thing I had to say is very unfortunate, but honestly, I wasn't here to defeat. I was here to defend.
And what 50 was threatening to load into that documentary, the 20 sexual assault cases he referenced in that deleted caption, that story goes way deeper than any Versus dispute, and it is a whole lot darker than a snub on a platform. The allegations and what 50 Cent is threatening to expose. When 50 Cent typed 20 sexual assault cases in that deleted post, he was pointing straight at a story that went public in January 2021, and then snowballed into one of the most damaging stretches T.I. and Tiny have ever faced in their careers. It kicked off on January 25th, 2021, when Atlanta entrepreneur Sabrina Peterson hopped on Instagram and accused T.I. of pulling a gun on her in front of her kids during a prior altercation. Peterson deleted the post, but not before it cracked something open in the comments. Women started dropping their own stories. Peterson collected those accounts and posted them to her Instagram stories, where they lived for 24 hours before disappearing. What came out of those stories was a pattern that kept repeating itself. Women alleged that T.I. and Tiny had a system. Invite women to parties or hotel suites, get drinks into their hands that had been spiked with substances like MDMA or ecstasy, and then move on them sexually without consent. Attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn, who stepped in to represent multiple accusers, said the accounts were eerily consistent. By January 28th and 29th, 2021, Peterson had put over 24 of these accounts into the public. One early anonymous accuser described getting spiked after meeting the couple at a nightclub, then waking up the next morning in pain with no memory of the night. The blueprint across the stories never changed. The celebrity pool, the VIP invite, the spiked drink, the blackout, and then the aftermath. The most detailed case on record involved a U.S. Air Force veteran and a night that allegedly went sideways in 2005.
T.I. and Tiny have been sued for sexual assault and battery on a woman in a Los Angeles hotel. So the situation, the woman claims that in 2005, she was enlisted in the U.S. Air Force at the time.
According to the lawsuit she eventually filed, she linked up at a party at another celebrity's crib, got word T and Tiny would be at a club the next night, pulled up, met them in VIP, and accepted a drink from Tiny. After that drink, she said everything started going sideways on her.
She said she met T.I. and Tiny in the VIP section, so at this point they're all hanging out in the VIP section. She said she ordered 2 amaretto sours on her own.
She alleged that after taking that drink from Tiny, she ended up riding to the hotel with T.I. and Tiny. 2 other women who had been in the car got dropped off along the way. Then in the hotel room, she said things escalated until her body started giving out on her. She got dizzy. She got faded. Then she blacked out.
The woman then went to the bathroom to throw up, and she said she blacked out after that. She woke up the next morning.
She woke up in pain. Security walked her out while T.I. and Tiny were still asleep. T.I. and Tiny did not stay quiet. On January 29, 2021, their spokesperson came out calling the allegations egregiously appalling, an orchestrated shakedown campaign. T.I. pulled up on Instagram personally and addressed it. And this is what he said.
Whatever we ever have done has been done with consensual adults who into what we into and like what we like. If we want something, we know exactly where to go to get it.
By February 19, 2021, Blackburn had sent letters to prosecutors in California and Georgia demanding criminal investigations on behalf of 11 accusers. By March 1st, he held a press conference and said he had been contacted by more than 30 potential victims or witnesses. 3 more women came forward in March 2021 alone, one claiming she was drugged and assaulted in Miami in 2010, another with a similar story out of Las Vegas, and a third alleging she was held against her will after party. The lab confirmed they had opened an active investigation in May 2021, specifically into the 2005 Air Force veterans case. Las Vegas Metro Police received a separate report on the 2010 incident. Their VH1 reality show got suspended in February 2021. The fallout was immediate and it was hitting from every direction. But what those investigations actually produced, or more accurately, what they failed to produce, is what tells a real story. And it is exactly why 50 Cent's documentary move carries weight in the court of public opinion, even when it has almost none left in an actual courtroom. What the courts decided and what that means for the documentary. Every single criminal investigation into T.I. and Tiny's alleged conduct landed in the same spot. Not a guilty verdict. Not a not guilty verdict either. They all got shut down because the clock had already run out on them. In September 2021, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office passed on filing charges in the 2005 Air Force veteran case. The DA's charge evaluation worksheet was straight to the point. The statute of limitations, sitting at 10 years under California's pre-2007 rules, had expired. The DA's office never even got to the evidence. The case died on a technicality of time, not a reading of the facts. T.I. and Tiny's attorney Sean Holley came out saying they were pleased but not surprised by the outcome, framing the whole thing as a vindication. But the DA's worksheet was telling a much more procedural story than that. Time had simply run out before anyone could get to the merits. Las Vegas Metro Police ran their own investigation into the 2010 incident and came up with the same result. No charges. Potential probes in Georgia and Florida, kicked off by Blackburn's letters to prosecutors, never made it to formal indictments either. No federal charges came through anywhere. Commentators covering the beef kept it straightforward about what that legal record actually meant.
This situation with T.I. and Tiny, no, like it says, no criminal charges was ever filed. They were investigated but never arrested for those allegations. No criminal charges was filed, largely due to the statute of limitations, issues and lack of prosecutable cases.
The criminal lane was dead, so the accusers took it to civil court. In January 2024, the same 2005 Air Force veteran filed a civil lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court, coming through under California's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, a 2022 law that cracked open a revival window for civil suits where the standard clock had already expired, as long as there was evidence of a cover-up involved.
And what that allows victims to do, that it gives adult survivors more time to file lawsuits in cases where, like, the statute of limitations would have expired.
T.I. and Tiny moved the case to federal court in March 2024 and filed to get it dismissed in June 2024. They argued the claims were time-barred and the complaint did not put up enough facts to actually trigger the revival statute, specifically that there was no qualifying cover-up by a legally responsible entity on the table. On August 8, 2024, U.S. District Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett sided with T.I. and Tiny and dismissed the lawsuit in full. The dismissal came without prejudice, meaning the plaintiff had room to amend and come back. As of March 2026, no amended complaint has surfaced publicly. On a separate track, the defamation lawsuit T.I. and Tiny had filed against Sabrina Peterson, the woman whose Instagram post in 2021 blew the whole thing open, had been grinding through the courts on its own. Peterson hit back with a countersuit for defamation, trade libel, and emotional distress. In June 2023, a California appeals court knocked out 5 of Peterson's 7 causes of action. In October 2023, a judge ordered Peterson to pay T.I. and Tiny $96,733 in legal fees on the dismissed claims. The full defamation trial between T.I. and Peterson is currently set for June 9, 2026. So where does all of that leave things? No convictions, no criminal charges ever filed. The major civil lawsuit dismissed in August 2024 with no public refiling on record, and a defamation trial on the calendar for the summer of 2026. 50 Cent's documentary Threat gets its juice from the gap between those legal outcomes and what the public actually remembers. No conviction is on the books, but neither is anything that officially cleared the Harrises in the public's mind. The allegations are still floating out there, legally closed but culturally unresolved. And that unresolved space is exactly where a documentary does its most damage. Whatever 50 Cent is building, if he is building anything at all, is living in that gap. And knowing how real the documentary actually is changes everything about how you read T's response to it. Is a documentary real? And what does it mean for both of them? As of March 13, 2026, there is no confirmed documentary. None. No episodes in the can. No network deal announced. No casting calls posted. No production schedule dropped by 50 or anyone at G-Unit Film and Television. What exists is a post that went up, broke the internet, and got yanked all before the day was done. Anybody who has watched 50 Cent operate for the last 2 decades knows exactly what that move was. His whole blueprint. Go quiet. Let the silence build pressure. Then drop something that flips public perception on its head. Is well documented. The deleted post was running that same play. Plant the headline. Let the internet run with it. Pull it back before it becomes an official commitment, and watch the chaos multiply on its own. But beyond whether the documentary is real, there is a question of whether it would even land the way 50 needs it to. Demand for a T.I. and Tiny documentary is not sitting at the same level as it was for 50's previous project. The allegations against T.I. and Tiny were investigated. Courts dealt with them, and the public largely moved on years ago.
But I don't think Netflix is gonna give him no deal on no T.I. documentary.
Last time you thought
I don't think so. The demand is not as high for a T.I. documentary.
50 Cent's actual response to T's wave of diss records never came through the music. It came through the theme song for his Stars show Power Origins, featuring Leon Thomas, which dropped March 6, 2026. The track slid in indirect shots, bars about people learning to leave him alone, and lines about those who traded their self-respect chasing attention, but never called T.I. out by name.
So 50 drops a theme song for one of the shows and disses T.I. Let's hear it. Your daddy made your mama eat every box in Atlanta.
That bar, widely read as aimed at King Harris rather than T.I. himself, showed the lane 50 was choosing to stay in. He was not pulling up to trade bars with Tip. He was using a TV property to sneak shots while keeping his hands clean and letting a documentary threat do the heavy lifting in the streets. And those watching closely clocked it clearly.
Are we expecting 50 to really compete, like, musically? I don't know. Maybe I'm being biased because I'm like, bro, there's nothing that I would think 50 would respond to.
Meanwhile, T.I. was out here flooding the timeline. War, The Right One, Lessons, Made Man, Let Them Know, Trauma Bond. His final album, Kill the King, what Tip has said will be his last project, was being built right in the middle of all this smoke. The beef was feeding the rollout in ways no marketing budget could have bought. T.I. had one regret in all of it, watching his son King take things to the level of putting 50's late mother on a t-shirt. In multiple interviews, T.I. said that was a line for him.
Said that's enough. Really, I said that's enough when I seen that t-shirt. I said, man, this is enough. That's it. I said, man, chill out, bro. Chill out. Because again, I'm big on treating people the way I want to be treated.
Right.
I don't be out here just doing unto others in ways I don't want to be done.
And when TMZ ran up on T.I. and asked him to break down what all of this was really about, his answer was short, clean, and consistent with everything he had been putting out since day one.
The only thing I had to say is very unfortunate, but honestly, I wasn't here to defeat, I was here to defend. I'm just happy that the women and children in my family know that there's a line of men that's ready to stand and protect from whoever against whoever.
What this whole situation has shown the culture is how the game of hip-hop beefs gets played at the top level in 2026. The threat of a documentary hits harder than the documentary itself ever could. A post you delete at noon can do more damage than a finished project that takes 2 years to drop. The documentary everybody has been talking about does not exist yet, and T.I. is still standing, dropping what he says is his final album, holding his family together in public, and telling 50 Cent to drop whatever he wants to drop. Whether that documentary ever actually materializes is what decides the next chapter. But as of right now, the only thing 50 Cent has actually released is a post he pulled down before lunchtime. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, keep the momentum going by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more great content.